The ballroom lights in the Arlington Marriott felt too bright, too sharp, slicing through the glass partition like accusations. I stood there in my worn flats, the blazer I'd ironed twice still wrinkled at the cuffs, clutching the lanyard that now read, "Attendee only." Lauren Voss was on stage, her voice smooth as polished steel, clicking through slides that showed my code, my logic, my fail-safes, under her name. "This modular telemetry framework," she said, smiling for the generals in the front row, "represents 3 years of relentless innovation from our team here at Sentinel Dynamics." She mispronounced telemetry on the 4th bullet, skipped the fail-safe protocol entirely. The DoD liaison blinked, waiting. I could see the confusion flicker across his face before Lauren pivoted to champagne toasts and shoulder claps from a 3-star general. Applause erupted. My stomach twisted, not with rage yet, but with that cold, precise clarity that comes when everything you've built gets erased in public. I didn't cry. I didn't bang on the glass. Blisters stung my heels from the wrong shoes. But I stepped back, pulled out my phone, and opened the encrypted draft I'd prepared months ago. Subject: Urgent. Breach of Attribution Clause 17b. Body: Per initial consulting agreement and contributor addendum. Public misattribution of authorship for Apex Link OS triggers immediate reversion of all rights to originating entity, Catalyst Forge LLC/Dormant Holding, Orion Vector Holdings. Freeze all license grants effective now. Attachments: Timestamped schema logs. Signed contract. Provisional patent filings 2022 to 2023. API signature chain. CC. IP Council. DoD Systems Integrity Liaison. Send. The Uber ride back to my 3rd-floor walk-up felt surreal. December wind bit through my coat as the driver asked if everything was okay. "It's just starting," I told him quietly. In the back seat, I opened my laptop, logged into the sandbox with my still-valid master token, and hit revoke. 1 second. Then silence. No sirens, no pop-ups, just the beginning of entropy in every connected test environment. 3 years earlier, there was no ballroom, no spotlights, just a rented garage in Falls Church, a folding table scarred with coffee rings, and a space heater that hummed like it might explode any minute. I'd finished a brutal string of medical logistics contracts with $47 left in Catalyst Forge's account. Sentinel Dynamics reached out for a short-term consulting gig on sensor integration for autonomous grid redundancy. Standard terms: invoice only, no benefits, no team. They handed me badge access to the forgotten procurement floor, half the fluorescents dead, thermostat decorative, routers wheezing in the hallway. No one else was assigned. Just me, a stressed systems manager named Rico, and 6 weeks of blessed isolation. I started from scratch, pulling older algorithms I'd sketched during late nights for Catalyst Forge. Modular stack. Interchangeable logic nodes. No vendor lock-in. It ran on drones, satellites, edge devices, anything with basic compute. I labeled the folder Apex Link 0.1 and committed obsessively, logging every change, every email, every export. When they wanted to fold it into internal systems, I agreed, but only after slipping Clause 17b into the contributor agreement. Buried between indemnity boilerplate and audit subsections, in the event of public misattribution of technical authorship or architecture, all derivative rights revert instantly to the originating entity. They signed without reading deeply. Why would they? I was just the contractor ghost in the server closet. No seat at investor tables. Lauren Voss hadn't even been hired yet. I also filed provisional patents through the dormant Orion Vector Holdings I'd set up years earlier, thinking I'd launch something of my own someday. It sat quietly renewed until that December afternoon. Lauren assumed corporate ownership covered everything. She never knew the API keys still routed through my Catalyst Forge license, or that every instance phoned home to a private key vault I alone controlled. Attribution is invisible when correct. When wrong, it unravels everything. Back in my apartment, I kicked off the painful shoes, brewed tea, and watched city lights flicker. The revocation was live. Heartbeat sync would begin failing in 48 hours. Not a crash, friction. Inconsistent test results. Simulations that wouldn't replicate. Drones misreading parameters. All looking like normal QA noise at first. I sat by the window, tea cooling, feeling the weight of 3 years lift and settle differently. The clause had teeth. People forget the fine print until it bites. By Monday, the first checksum failure hit during a live demo in Houston. A field rep walked a mid-tier logistics client through a simulation when the dashboard locked. Data validation timeout. Rerun. Failed again. They blamed latency. By midday, 2 more sandboxes errored during drone calibration in Nevada. The drone stalled mid-rotation. Dropped 10 feet before recovery. No damage. But the observers went pale. Sentinel issued a quiet memo. Switched to static walkthroughs only pending QA. QA wouldn't fix it. The master token was gone. My telemetry nodes, woven into every module, had stopped validating upstream. Logs showed silent drift. Engineers started whispering, "Who's maintaining this?" Procurement flagged replication mismatches. Compliance looped in legal with one line, "Confirm IP chain of custody." That's when wheels began turning. Legal unearthed Clause 17b after hours of cross-referencing buried signatures. At 3:42 p.m., Lauren received the sterile notification, "Attribution audit initiated. All Apex Link uses suspended pending review." Inside, dashboards grayed out. Sandboxes desynced. Metrics showed redacted fields. No user-facing crash, just eerie quiet. Questions bubbled upward. Who authorized deployment? Where's the original codebase? Why doesn't legal signature match current leadership? Lauren had no answers. She'd inherited the system, branded it hers, paraded it in every pitch, now locked out of what she claimed to own. Tuesday afternoon. My phone rang, block number. Military tone. Brigadier Harlan Meeks. No pleasantries. Your framework is in question. Dr. Reyes. I stayed calm. Only the attribution. Sir. Pause. He noted module lockouts. Asyncs. Regressions. My name surfaced via the reversion clause. I explained evenly. Clause 17 be triggered by public misattribution during formal recognition. IP developed under Catalyst Forge LLC. Registered via Orion Vector Holdings. Provisionals filed 2022 to 2023. He didn't mention Lauren. That silence told me volumes. Send everything timestamped and notarized. Escalating to directorate. Minutes later, email sent. Contributor contract. Clause addendum. IP ledger. Patents. Commit logs. No CC to Sentinel. I was no longer in their chain. The system was already slipping from their grip. Half an hour later, Meeks called back. Fewer words. Documents reviewed. No discrepancies. One question. Who has clearance to brief the directorate? I gave my name. Designation. Independent Technical Architect. Active clearance. Affiliated entity Vector Frame Systems. Newly registered that week. Understood. Expect contact from Director Lund's office. Silence after the call felt recalibrated. Down at Sentinel. Panic spread. Engineers locked out. Lauren pacing somewhere. Access revoked. Phone quiet. But my name was finally on the dotted line. Resignation started quietly. Mason Wu, lead integration engineer. Emailed. Effective immediately. I am no longer confident in IP governance. Then Dvika,
K.
the technical writer, procurement liaison, and Samir Rana, original Sandbox co-contributor. Desks emptied. Directory names vanished. When the CTO stormed the war room, eyes landing on Lauren, "Why am I hearing about a usage freeze from a contractor?" She stammered by the console. Phone white-knuckled. Dashboard blank. "I thought legal cleared it." "Team effort." He snapped. "Whose name on the funding proposal? Who spoke at the summit? Who called it your architecture?" Silence. No one backed her. He pulled up the audit. Clause 17B highlighted red. Reversion in process. Primary architect Catalyst Forge/Orion Vector. "You've been demoing a system we don't control." Lauren whispered it was collaborative. The CTO cut in. "We're asking who authored it. Access to architecture logs already disabled. Legal isolating comms. No hearing. No defense. Paper trail cared only about fingerprints, mine on every line." Lauren lost not just the system, but proof. Corporate ambition can't fake that. I never returned to Sentinel. No apology mattered. They chose spotlight over substance. Lights off.
Substance gone.
That week, I formalized Vector Frame Systems, a focused private research entity. One-page site. Secure contact. Government-recognized certifications only. No press.
No social.
Within 10 days. Direct engagement contract from the agency, research advisory. Quarterly renewable. Discretionary funding. Led technical architect role. Redacted. Under Vector Frame. Reading that line cleared the air like nothing else. Inbox shifted from noise to encrypted DoD subcontractor queries about telemetry drift. I answered selectively, taking align projects. Silence became boundary. Former colleagues reached out. K from QA. "If you're building something new." Then RA. Dvika. Mason. Even a legal analyst. They wanted in not for titles, but memory of building without stages. First team meeting. 5 people in a rented co-op room.
No laptops.
Just talk about what happened. What we wanted now, control of work. Names. Contracts. Org chart. We'd figure it out. Only control mattered. Quiet forward motion. 6 weeks later, mahogany room at Langford Defense Lab smelled of coffee and paper. Invite only.
Nori coordinas.
My nameplate. Technical advisor. Vector Frame Systems. Analysts. Engineers. Compliance. And across the table, Lauren Voss, pale. Rigid. Scarf gone. Blazer stiff. Empty. Agenda. System resilience protocols. I spoke third. Start with telemetry root logic. Issue isn't redundancy, it's verification. Adaptive telemetry with adaptive licensing. Modular frameworks surviving misuse. Misattribution. Overreach. Silence focused. Kernel asked about credential failure. Private escrow signature validation. Build on proof, not trust. When Lauren's turn came, she deferred to the current technical lead. Voice brittle. Work mattered more than reaction. By session end, 3 agencies requested follow-ups. 1 sent credentials for protocol review. Another wanted budget proposal. Facilitator nodded quiet respect as I left. Nothing behind worth revisiting. Wednesday afternoon reviewing version 2.1 signal hopping protocols, fine-tuning delays that prevent mission-killing drift. Email from Dvika. This aged poorly. Attached webinar promo. Lauren Voss on team leadership. Innovation under pressure. Lessons from complex systems. Old photo. Forced smile. Landing page read like irony. A comment section, 1 reply. Maybe start by inviting the people who actually built your system.
No retort.
Just silence settling. Truth didn't need shouting anymore. Vector frame thrived, 3 patents filed, 2 multi-agency contracts. Performance speaking louder than marketing. Clients cared about working systems, delivered proof. Origin papers. I never mentioned Lauren. Whispers about Sentinel's mess became legend, but documentation always surfaced when needed. She thought she blocked a technician. She locked out the architect. Sitting there, protocols humming on screen. The quiet victory settled deep. Not triumph over her, over the erasure. The clause reminded everyone, credit isn't optional. It anchors everything. What lingers is the question, how many invisible builders walk away quietly? Until the system itself demands their name? In the end, the code remembers. And sometimes, that's enough to rewrite the story entirely.